So today's agenda is screen capture. Some of you I know already do them. We've talked about some people that do video captures in addition to just screen captures. But I want to make sure everybody understands why they're so useful because they're really a neat form of communicating. We're going to talk about the Apple tools and the iPhone, the iPad, and the Mac. We're going to talk about a shot or capture versus a recording and why it might be helpful to do one versus the other. And I'm going to show you my advanced tools that I use. I use a tool called Snagit for most of my screenshots that I do because it lets me do a lot of things that are helpful for preparing uh, presentations and educational materials that are used. It's one of the biggest tools used in the industry by education professionals. One of the questions is why should I really care about screen capturing? Well, screen captures are great to help you remember something, just like a photograph. You're essentially taking a photo of your screen. And so if you can take a photo of your screen, it helps you remember something. You may not exactly know exactly how to find a link or bookmark a web page or take a picture of an email or something like that. But if it helps you remember something, and it's really useful because on Apple, screen captures go into your photos. And so that's an important thing to remember. On Macs, they go into your desktop typically, but on iPads and iPhones, they go into your photos folder. It also makes it clear to communicate. If you're trying to communicate with somebody, why is this happening? What is happening? And I was working with a software company, my Camtasia software, and I had a tech support call, and I was saying I can't seem to get the audio edited the correct way that I want to. And they said, can you do a screen recording for us? So rather than just a capture of a still picture, doing something that gives me the ability to record it, I was able to show them the steps that I was doing and the things that I was clicking on. I took a sample of something on Google here. I mean, we do a search, lunch places near me. This is a screenshot of Google, and a screenshot is a single point in time. It's a moment. That's what a photograph is. A photograph is a moment. A screen recording is a period of time. And so here's a screenshot. Here I am looking for lunch places near me. Here is a video recording of how I'm using this to do a search. And you can see the action taking place and the activity that's happening as I'm doing things as I enhance the search. And so doing something and showing people things over a period of time, I could have these different aspects and different sessions going on, but by showing people a sequence of events, so as I'm clicking my mouse, as I'm navigating on a screen, it helps explain things. Now you may not have a need to do that, but being able to record a period of time is really helpful sometimes if you're looking at things. A little bit of navigation. Okay. Let's talk about the different buttons and switches on phones and iPads because you have to know where they are in order to do screenshots in particular. And screen recordings work a little bit differently, but we're going to do screenshots on iPhones first and then screenshots on iPads. And I'll try and help you understand where the buttons are. Okay, so these are the buttons on iPhones that have a home button at the bottom. Some models do not have a home button, but others do. And so if you have a model with a home button, you'll see that home button down here. They all have a side button, and they all have volume controls, and there is a ring silence switch on iPhones. So on iPhone 15s and newer, it's called an action button, and it gives you the ability to set it to do different things. The standard setting for that action button on the iPhone 15 is to mute or unmute, but you can change it to actually do things. You can change it to actually snap it to do a screenshot if you want to. So these are the buttons that you typically will see on an iPhone. And to do screenshots, you'll have to know how to find them and how to use them. And it might take a little bit of practice to do a screenshot if you haven't done one at first, but you'll get pretty good at it. Okay, so iPhone screenshots have to do with locating the buttons. Okay, on an iPhone with Face ID, you press the side button and the volume up button at the same time. The volume up button is the top one, and that's the side button. So you have to have two fingers, one on each button, and you have to press them simultaneously. On an iPhone with the home button, you just, instead of you can press the home button and the side button and the top button. So you use the home button. So they work a little bit differently for those of you that might have a model that still has a home button, and then quickly release them. You just have to press them and let them go. Just a quick action. Screenshot's going to appear in the lower bottom left corner of your phone. You can tap it and it enlarges it. You can edit it, modify it, save it, share it to notes or other ways of sharing it. You'll see a share button. Or if you don't want it, you can delete it. And if you ever, if you save it, it'll be available as a photo in your Photos app when you ever want to do it. The iPad has a little bit different set of buttons. On an iPad, you've got a top button, you've got volume buttons up and down, and you might have a model with Touch ID that has a home button. Some older models have a side switch that's on the side that is used to mute. I just want to explain that. You don't need to know it for screenshots, but it might be there if you have an older model of iPad. There are iPads without home buttons too, and you don't really have a whole lot of buttons on them. You've got volume buttons on top and the top button. Smaller models might have them, and they're slightly different. Okay, so the iPad without a home button doesn't really have a whole lot of buttons. Sometimes that top button is a touch ID for using it on newer models of iPads. Other times it's just a button. Okay, but usually you'll have a model with a home button. And if you have a model without a home button, that top button is usually a Touch ID button, in addition to being something you can press to take action with, because you need to press it to take a screenshot. But there is a way to take a screenshot on an iPad without touching any buttons, and I'll show you that too. Your top button and volume up button or the home button simultaneously. So it works pretty similar to the iPhone. If you're used to, okay, I got to press a button and a volume up button to take a screenshot, it's working pretty quickly. The screenshots appear in the lower left-hand corner, and they're available from your Photos app. So they work very similarly between iPhones and iPads, which is really nice because you don't have to learn a very different way of doing it if you don't want to. Okay. All right, so we're going to take a look at some screenshots first. Let me go to my iPhone here and find it, screen share. You can see my phone. Okay, it's what's on my phone right here. And if I get there's a button here, the action button. I have an iPhone 15, and I have a volume up and a volume down button. And I'm going to put one finger on the volume up button and one finger on the side button. And I think I could do this backwards as well as I can do it forwards. So let's see. And sure enough, I did a screenshot. The screenshot shows up in the lower corner here. Okay, so it vanishes quickly if you do it, but it goes to Photos. So I'm going to take another screenshot and do it quicker. Okay, so there's the screenshot, and I'm going to tap on it. So now you see some navigation. If I'm done, I'm done. I can delete it, I can share it, and I can mark it up if I want to. So markup tools let you use these markup tools on your phone with your finger. You can highlight and do other things. So markup's a good resource to use. You can also crop this. You have little sliders on the corners that if you tap them and hold on to them, you can navigate down or up and adjust the area that you want to screen share to. The action button here for sharing gives you the ability to send a message using the share options you would find in Photos. but you don't have to go to Photos. You can do it right here and save it without anything. You can save it as a quick note. You can send it to Notes. You can send it as a message, an email, or to other contacts you have. So if I wanted to send this, for example, to myself, because I'm a great contact for myself, I can do that, and I can send it by text messaging or email. So that's a simple screenshot. And then when you're done, you tap done, and you have an option to save it to Photos, to save it to your files, to save it to Quick Note, copy it and delete it. So maybe you want to copy it and paste it into a note or a Word document or something like that, or Microsoft Pages, doesn't matter where it's. If you copy it, it puts it in the clipboard. But until you copy it, it's not in the clipboard. It's just in the going to be in the photo unless you want to delete it. And if you delete it, it's gone. But I'm going to save it to Photos. And then if I go up to Photos, you'll see there's the one I just did. And then the photo I just did earlier is right here, the one I didn't tap quickly enough. So they get saved to your photo. Now, one thing you may notice is that on the Photos app, there's a little icon here. This is for optical character recognition. If you take a screenshot of something and you want to capture the text from it, taking a screenshot and tapping that optical character recognition lets you capture the text, and you can copy and paste that if you want to into another document. So it's another way to use OCR with your screen capture device. Okay, so that's an iPhone screen capture. Okay, pretty basic. How many of you have done it? Just give me an idea. Most everybody, how many of you have done it? It's worth trying out. You got to try it out if you haven't done it, because it's really a great way to remember something. You see something in an email, or I had an issue I was trying to work out with an email where I had to send somebody some information, and I just took screenshots of the emails rather than worrying about forwarding them or anything like that. It was really convenient. So just a great tool for being able to do things.
Could you show again how you extract the text out?
How you get the text out? Sure, sure. Okay, so let me do a share again. And I'm not the best at it, but I use something else typically for getting share text out, but we'll try it, see if we can do it. Okay, so here's my photo. This little icon in the lower right-hand corner, Apple is automatically detecting that there's text here. You don't have to do anything. It'll detect if there's text or not. If you tap on that, it'll bring up the text, and then it has a share button. I think this will let me share it. No, it really is just sharing the text. Let me get this. If I tap on the text here, it gives me the ability to use the selection tool to select all of it. And then I can copy it and paste it into something else. And I can even translate it if I want to. It's helpful for doing that. But you just have to tap on the text anywhere, and it brings up the standard Apple iPhone, iPad selection tool cursor that you use to copy and paste something. Holding it up here, this is what you see. And I have a button here, and I have a volume button. And if I press them both at the same time, it takes a screenshot, goes to the lower corner. I can tap that, and I have the ability to edit it, modify it, change it, delete it, just like I had on my phone. Only the optical character recognition is a little icon here because the screen's a little bit bigger. So if I tap that, it selects the text, gives me an idea of what I can copy and select it and do things with it. And I can tap done. And again, save to Photos, save to Files, save to Quick Note, copy and delete, or delete screenshot. I'm going to save it to Photos. Now, another way of taking a photo screenshot on an iPad, and I have to hold this up for you. I hope it's going to work okay because I tried it out, is that you can swipe from the lower left corner up towards the center, and it'll take a screenshot just with a swipe gesture. iPads will do that. Phones don't do it, but iPads will do that. And it's a standard setting that exists in the settings application on your iPad. So if we go to settings, there's usually an option here for multitasking and gestures that you see. And the multitasking and gestures give you the ability to modify what happens when you swipe your finger from a corner. The standard setting, I haven't modified it, the standard setting to swipe your finger from the corner is a screenshot. There's also another standard setting that's from the bottom right corner. You can use it to get a quick note, which opens up the notes application right away. So that's under settings, multitasking and gestures, and you look for swipe from corner and the bottom left corner. It's really, really convenient to do. You can do a screen recording on your iPhone, your iPad, and of course Mac. We'll look at Mac after we do this. But an iPhone screen recording requires that you set it up in the control center setting. When you get control center set up, then you can swipe down from the upper right corner, or if you have a iPhone with a home button, you would swipe up from the bottom of the screen, and then you'll see a screen recording button. I'll show you in settings how we set it up. You can tap the microphone to record audio, tap start recording, and a 3-second countdown appears. And to stop, you just tap the red recording indicator or the screen recording button. iPads work virtually the same. Control center, press and hold the screen recording, tap the mic, start recording, and then you would open control center and tap the red recording indicator or the screen recording button. So they work virtually the same way between the iPhone and the iPad, but you probably never set this up. So let's take a look at my iPhone here and see if we can get this working. On my phone, if I swipe down from control to get control center, I'm going to swipe from the upper right down. I don't see any record button here. There's nothing here. Well, I have to go to settings, and under settings, I have to go to control center because that's what I want to change. I want to put it in control center. And a control center, it shows what I have. I have flashlight, timer, calculator, hearing, music recognition, and screen mirroring are all set up. But if I swipe up, I can see that there's actually quite a few other controls available that I could put in Control Center. And one of them is screen recording. So I'm going to tap the plus button, and that will add screen recording now to my included controls. So if I go to Control Center now, I have this button that appears that wasn't there before. So you have to set it up initially in your screen, in your control center. And then once it's set up in control center, you can tap it and it will start screen recording. So if I tap the button, it's giving me a countdown up here. And it's going to start screen recording. Now, these days, some of the newer versions will automatically record audio. Some of them don't. It depends on which version of device you have. So if I have this and nothing's really going on my screen, but if I go here and I go to the web page and I tap on a button and I start doing things and scrolling around, it's going to capture a screen recording. And you can see this little icon here up on top. If I tap that and I tap the stop button, it stops and the recording gets saved to photos. So I can tap it right now, or I can go to photos. And where is that recording? It's my newest photo right here. So if I tap that and I tap the play button, it's going to show everything that I recorded. Now, there wasn't a whole lot going on at first, but you can see the little screen mirroring icon is flashing because I'm screen mirroring to my Zoom here. And it's playing a video here. It's going to be running through things. And now it's showing I went to settings. I went to something else. I opened up a web page. I tapped on some links. It shows various things I'm scrolling through. and it gives me the ability to actually record what I'm doing on my screen and view it for people. And it's possible to share this just like a photo. You can share it, you can get information on it, or you can delete it, and you can play it again. And when you hit the play button, you'll see this little slider here that you can use. And in the Photos app, you can save this to iMovie, or tap the edit button, and it gives you the ability to scroll through and adjust the video, just like you can adjust any video you take in a Photos app. If you take a video on your camera, on your phone, you've got some basic video editing tools. So if I say I want to cut out that beginning portion, I can just tap on that icon and start to slide it with my finger and move it back, and it'll change it and modify it for me. And then when I'm done, I can tap done. I can save the video, and which means I'm cutting some things out, or I can save it as an entirely separate clip, as a second video if I want to. I'm happy enough saving it as a video. So now I've cut out some of the beginning part of this video where nothing much was really happening. And it was a 30-second video, so it wasn't long to begin with. But this is not me doing anything on my phone. This is the video that's playing for us right now. And you can tell because it has that little video icon up at the top. And I can stop it now and go back. And this is a photo that I have in my Photos album that I can go to anytime I want to. So it's another way to show people what you're doing on your device if you need to, or something interesting you want to share with people, or you want to show action that's not just one screenshot. It's a series of activities that you want to let people see and understand. The iPad is virtually the same process. Open up Control Center. I do have screen recording here. The same thing, you would go to Settings, and in Settings, you would go to Control Center. And in Control Center, you would see if screen recording is there. If it's not, just go down to More Controls and tap on a plus button, and it'll bring it up. You can customize that. We did a session on how to customize Control Center when I was in Spain, and I think that's probably why I have the screen recording in there. So I'm going to swipe up, and then I'm going to swipe down from the upper right to bring up Control Center, and there's my recording button. So if I tap the recording button, it starts to record, and I can look at things. I can go to my Mighty Community website here. I can look at different activities. I can check different things that we're doing on the web here. And if I tap, Joe's got a NetSpeak. If I tap it, it's recording all of this video. The little video icon is up here. Look for a red icon. That's usually something that you're doing with video. And I can go to Tech Topics and see what's going on, or Chat and Posts and see what's going on. And then when I'm done recording, I can tap that and stop the screen recording. Now it's saved as a photo. And I can go to my Photos app, and I should be able to find the screen recording. Hopefully, there it is, and be able to play it. Let's go on to Macs. Okay, Macs have a few other options as well. And Macs, you can use the press, shift, and command key to open up your screen capture function. It's a great keyboard shortcut. There's a press Shift Command 3 captures the whole screen. Shift Command 4 lets you set a cursor to capture a portion of the screen. And Shift Command 5 gives you more options, including the options for a video recording if you want to. And then when you do a screenshot, they typically end up on your desktop. So what you're looking at is Safari, Tech Explorer Community, and I'm going to press Shift Command 3. And in the lower right-hand corner is a screenshot of my entire screen. Okay, it usually gets saved in a file. And if I do another screenshot, say I go to Apple's web page and I want to do another screenshot, Shift Command 3, it creates another screenshot. So now it's created a little icon of screenshots here. And if I just click on that, I can see them here anytime I want to. So that's where your screenshots end up when you take them. If I don't need the big background, if I see, gee, I just want to get the web page, I can hit Shift Command 4. And you can see a little cursor shows up that I can move around with my mouse. And I can just select an area. And as soon as I let go of the mouse, it captures that screenshot. This will end up in that same collection here. So Shift Command 3 gets your whole screen. Shift Command 4 lets you select an area that you want for an image. Now, Shift Command 5 brings up a little bit different feature for us here. It brings up a camera, but it also brings up a set of icons here where I can capture the entire screen. I can capture selected window, which is different than just selecting an area. If I click selected window, I can click on this and use the camera to say, I want to capture this window. And it captured the window for me, okay? And it gives me a little countdown timer before it does the capture. And if I go to Shift Command 5 again, I can record the entire screen, and it'll start recording in 5 seconds. There's usually a countdown. And I can record a selected portion of the screen if I want to. Now, to start recording, I've got to click on a button here. I've got to click on record, and now it's going to count down a few seconds, and it'll start recording, and then there'll be an option to stop recording at some point when I want to as well. Okay, so another way to do it is it would bring up the Shift Command 5 and press the stop recording, and that will stop your recording. So Shift Command 5 gives you all the options, but you can also use Shift Command 3 and Shift Command 4 to just go to the quick screen capture or select an area screen capture. And Shift Command 5 does have options here, so you have the ability to save them to different places. If you want a timer countdown, if you want to save it with a microphone or show a floating thumbnail or show mouse clicks, you can do that because a lot of people do screen recordings to capture mouse clicks for instructional materials too. And when we go to open up this video, I'm going to close this and open up the video here. We've got a video that is recorded that we can play with a little video control right here that'll play for us as well. So you can see how the mouse is moving around, and when it splashes, when I click something, it gives me the ability to modify and show things. And of course, when you're doing screen recordings, you often want to adjust your pace. So this is a video, and I can use this video for a variety of purposes, okay? So Macs give you a little more capability that way in terms of options you have to capture that desktop, because you can capture the desktop, you can capture a screen, you can capture an area. Now, I do a lot of screen captures. One of the things I did when I was making up this presentation is I had some pictures here that I took that I wanted to show where buttons were on iPhones and iPads. And I took some screenshots of these, and then I annotated the screenshots using software I use called Snagit. Snagit also gives me the ability to do a lot of other things as well, but it's very flexible. So I'm going to show you Snagit because it's something I use. Snagit is a software tool that I have installed, and it's not free. It costs me about, I think, $40 a year to subscribe to. But I do so many screen captures that it's really, really valuable for me. So they have a standard setting called all-in-one, and I can click on a capture. It's going to let me capture something. I can select this, and I can say, gee, I only want to capture this area. I select the area I want to capture, and I click on it, and I can take a picture of it, and it captures it, and it opens it up in the Snagit application. This is the Snagit application. And what I did with Snagit earlier is I took pictures of iPhone and iPad screens, and then I used annotation tools to annotate these options, which gives me the ability to add text, adjust things, modify them, and position and reposition them and use them in PowerPoint slides or even as a graphic file as well. So it's a little more advanced tool if you do a lot of screen captures because it gives you a tremendous amount of annotation capability. And I found a picture of an iPad
Okay.
that showed the buttons here.
All
Okay.
right.
Then what I did was I dragged an arrow over like this, and I said, volume. And I can type, I'm just typing it in. So I have the ability to move this around and modify it and change it. I can even reverse it like that if I want to make it clearer, to create something. So I have the ability, Snagit and also Camtasia, which I use for some video recording. They have this really powerful tool called annotations. So that, yes, a screenshot is good, and you do have the markup tools with your iPhone and your iPad. So you can mark up a photo screenshot you take with them. But Snagit is designed for people that really are trying to provide instructions, directions, show things step by step, etc., with images that they take from the screen. So I can take
with markup, you can't take an arrow and put it diagonally and have the printing on it diagonally as well.
You have to draw it as best you can. Okay, so I'm going to actually go and take a screenshot of a web page here. So this is Apple's web page. This one's not very interesting. Let's go to Mac. Okay, and I want to look at Mac. Here we'll find something that gives me a little bit of information about it. Let's try a better picture. Let me go to something that's a little more informative here. Let's look at AirPods and see if they've got something here that we can look at. Okay, so here's an AirPod second generation. If I want to take a screenshot of that, I will go up to my Snagit app. It puts an item in the menu bar. I can click on capture, and I can select this image, and it'll create a image in the Snagit application. Then I can do any number of things. I can add text, and I can say, gee, I'd like to say Apple AirPods. Or I can use graphics here. I can use highlighting text. I can change. I can create arrows if I want to and use arrows to point to something, and I can modify them. So there's a lot of tools that are available in Snagit that give me annotation power that I use a lot for other things. To record your voice when you're making a screen recording on an iPhone or an iPad, start your screen recording, then tap and hold on the record button, which will open up the microphone setting where you can turn on the microphone. Then your voice will get recorded. Once you turn the microphone on, you'll be able to record your voice to the screen recording.